kind of bumps into you. I don't know if that affected your concentration at all, because you seemed pretty upset about it.
Yeah, I was upset. Obviously, as every penalty taker, you have your own routines, you have your own things that you do. It upset me because the referee didn't apologize, and that was what which triggered me in the moment. But that's not the excuse to missing the penalty. I just had a very bad hit on the ball. I took my foot too under the ball, and that's why the ball ended up going over the bar.
You looked frustrated during many moments in the match. What frustrated you the most about the performance?
No, it was. I think we can do better, but we are putting the effort. So that is the most important thing for me. I think in some moments we did well, especially in the beginning of the game, and I felt that after the goal, we were thinking about the result, just the result. And this team needs to win games, so we need to focus on the performance, what we need to do, because if we think about the results, we forget to do the normal things. So that was my feeling. We were okay until the goal. We scored a goal, and we should do the opposite. So have more possessions, push more the opponent, and I think we were not smart in that moment.
Do you think then the main challenge is to keep that urgency, that mentality of not only the result, but also how do you push that into the players?
No, it's just we have to think in this moment. We need to think about the performance. Of course, I'm not crazy. I know what is the feeling of a player that plays in the team that has to win every match, but I felt that in the past. I don't feel lack of urgency in this moment. What I felt is that we missed the penalty, we missed some chances, and then we score, and I have the feeling that the team was, now we have to defend this goal, and that is not lack of urgency, it's maybe urgency in the opposite side. So we just need to focus on our movements, the way we have to play the game until the end.
Yeah, defensively, why do you think Fulham kept getting into good positions, and with corners as well, they were always looking dangerous?
Yeah, it's normal. I think we tried to press high, and was after 1-2 times we need to understand that sometimes we need to manage the game, to wait for the opponent. Was that the option of Fulham? And sometimes we push the ball to the side too soon. It was quite easy for the opponent to mark us, and we wanted to press all the time. We want to do that, but sometimes we have to be better in that moment, understand the game, try to drop a little bit, and then start the pressure. So they had more space than us when they were attacking.
Bruno's penalty, we saw that the referee kind of bumped into him, and he looked upset and disrupted by it. Did he mention anything to you about that? Do you think it was enough to disrupt him in the way that he took the penalty?
No, I think he's not used to miss a penalty. He knows the importance that every moment in this context can have a huge impact in the team, and I felt that he during the game he was like not so happy, not so involved, because he has so much responsibility, and I think he felt that miss the penalty was a huge for us.
You mentioned the result. Do you think this is something that the team is bringing from last season? This need to get results, and you guys need to deal with it better mentally?
That is normal. We just want to win games, and they are humans. They know the context. They read everything, and they know they play in one club that they need to be better. But for me, during the week is completely different. They work really hard. Today they work really hard. Sometimes not in the good way, but they work. So with that I can work, and with that I'm really confident that we are going to get many wins.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
So, Tim, a draw and a defeat for Ruben Amorim. How do you rate that start?
Not great. Not great. My expectation was, having seen what we saw at Old Trafford last weekend against Arsenal, they would come here and not steamroll Fulham. Fulham's a good team, but have their way a bit more than they did. And there were moments I thought that United played well in the game, but overall, there were moments that Fulham played really well too. And you just expect United to control this game, and it didn't happen. It got loose. It was a little bit off the cuff at times. And I'm so used to having watched them during preseason and opening weekend. that there is a game plan, that there is a way that Ruben Amorim wants to play. They lost that a little bit today, and so not worrying, but disappointed.
We saw progression last weekend, didn't we, from Manchester United? Did you see any of that today?
No. I thought they started the game okay, first 15, 20 minutes, but the second half was a realisation that 2 new players in the side is not going to change that much. So I'd be holding on against Fulham at this point with the money they've spent is disappointing for the United fans. And the fans are brilliant. Man United fans are brilliant. Yeah. They clap them off. But that's not good. Ruben Amorim didn't look happy walking off there. He expects his team, Rebecca, to control more of that second half, to be the team looking to win it. Yeah. And some of the moments, some of the little details that it's easy to look past, so we're not going to look by them in these highlights, is shows the weakness in certain areas in the midfield, at right wing back, that cost them today. So they are desperate. They brought all these attacking players in, a huge amount of money, but there's glaring holes in the middle of midfield where they need 2 players. Casemiro adds nothing. And he's won more things than I could dream about winning. But he adds nothing to the midfield. Ugarte is meant to be a steel-like guy. He doesn't play Tim. Mainu can play a little bit. Kobbie Mainu, we don't see him. They need central midfield players or play another guy in there to make 3 because they are absent so often.
Let me just touch on that, Bex. So we heard Ruben Amorim talk about, and I think one or two of the players said in preseason, they're finishing their attacks too fast, right? And what that translates to is what he wants his team to do is what City do best, right? They get around the penalty area, they camp out,
sustain attacks,
right? But what that points to, and the best teams need 2 midfielders behind the ball that just take care of everything, that put out fires, that regain possession, that facilitate, that allow those front 4 or 5 players to camp out and get around the box. They don't have that. And so that's where it's missing. So even though he's frustrated that he's not getting these attacks that are sustained and slowed down in and around the penalty area, he doesn't have the midfielders to do it. And he knows that.
Does he just need 1 new midfielder?
2.
And what kind? Talk us through.
Generals. What I'd say is a general. Not a fancy, clever player, but a player that can do a little bit of everything. Of course, in the past, United have had incredible ones. I had a manager, Brian Robson, played against Roy Keane. Players that could do everything. Could tackle, could pass, could score, could lead, could command, could Paul Ince was another one that would just rattle everybody. They need help in there. Instead of all those front players that you know.
Quite frankly, the top teams in this league have him. Tonali at Newcastle, right? Is McAllister, Rodri, McAllister at Liverpool, Gravenberch. You know, so I think of all the top teams.
Ugarte was meant to be that person.
He was, and Stephen Warnock correctly said that. He just doesn't have the. He's
not good enough
he's a bit tough, but he's not a good enough footballer to. But you look at the top teams. The person you're explaining, they have those. Those players exist, and United don't have them.
Just quickly, Rob, if they get those 2 players, where does Bruno fit in after that?
Well, we've got a little passage in a minute we're going to show where he is playing as a central midfield player and it shows his weaknesses. I don't know where Bruno's going to play. He's a 10. They've got 2 10s at least. Where's Mason Mount going to play? They've got all these 10s and no 6s and 8s. And by that, I mean central midfield generals to be the engine room.
OK, well, let's talk about Bruno. He is our Sensodyne player profile. Before we get to that moment you're referring to, Tim, talk us through what happened with the penalty.
Well, he puts the ball down and everyone has a routine and a couple steps and he gets nudged off, actually, by the referee, and he's complaining. He has to then reset to take the penalty. It really put him off. Did he put him off enough to miss? Maybe, but it's a bad penalty in the end, and he just wasn't in the right frame of mind. And here, we know Bruno. He's a fiery guy. He likes to complain, likes to moan. But in that moment, I think it might have put him off.
And that was at the beginning of the second half when he was still talking to the referee clearly about it. And now this is Fulham's goal. His role in this, Robbie, was what?
Well, he's a central midfield player here. And this, I love Bruno, by the way. Watch. He's got him. He's your man. Bruno, he's your man. You've got to stay with him. It's unexcusable. It's unforgivable. Again, I love him, and I don't want to pick out this moment here, but it's so important to show that he is not a central midfield player, a general that will do a bit of everything, and he's just not programmed internally to think about Smith Rowe running in front of him. And if he sees him edge him in there, first off, he's got to be looking at him, which he wasn't really, and he's got to go with that run. He goes with that run, he clears the ball, they probably win the game. So That's what I'm talking about.
OK, but as you said, where does he fit in if they get a couple of midfielders in, which is unlikely considering they've only got 8 days to go, when they've just spent the money on an entire new forward line, Tim?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he goes or if they get somebody in that position. I think they're going to have to try and find the balance with the players that they have. Is that Kobe Mainoo? Is it Kobe Mainoo and Bruno? They don't have anybody who can sit and hold and break things up and track runners like that. So it's troublesome. It's an area that needs improvement. But everyone's been saying they figured out the front. Now really it's the middle. I think Gary Neville said this morning, it's the middle midfield and the goalkeeper. So
what's more important, midfielder or goalkeeper, if they could only get one?
Midfielder right now.
100% midfielder. Yeah.
And who do they go with moving forward, Onana or Bayindir?
Seems like it's Bayindir. That's going to be his choice.
And we're joined by Calvin Bassey. Calvin, thank you very much for coming out to chat to us. Always a bit nicer when you manage to earn a draw from a losing position.
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially second half, we pushed. Could have deserved more. I mean, we had some good moments, with a better final pass or better finishing. It could have been maybe, 2-1. But we did well to get back into game. And of course, they've missed a penalty as well. So, yeah.
Talking of the penalty, because you were right at the centre of a lot of the decisions that were made today. Let's start with the penalty one, because if we don't, you'll just be waiting for us to do it. Now, you think this might be a little harsh, but have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I still think it's harsh. I understand why it's given. I think, it's where my foot is. I'm trying to stay strong because I know the block's coming, and then I've just sort of pulled him over my foot. I think if my foot isn't there, but I mean, refs got to protect us as well. I think I'm strong, so it looks a bit more aggressive. If it's someone stronger, I don't think it looks as bad. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it given, you've seen it not. It's just one of them ones.
Ashley, what did you think? As Calvin's friend.
As his friend, definitely shouldn't have been a penalty. If I take my friend head off, then I'm not too sure. I think that it could go either way. We said it in the studio that at times referees will see it and give it. At times referees will not give it. I think watching it in slow-mo like that, it looks worse.
Everything looks worse slow-mo, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it
Everything looks worse.
Well, Ashley, we've actually got your half-time analysis. No, we haven't.
It was a good one, don't
yeah,
worry.
It was but look, from your point of view, Lewis, they give away the penalty. There was also the incident behind with Luke Shaw, but obviously VAR can't go and look at that because it's not a penalty incident. There was a lot going on in that box, and that's something that referees have been asked to look at, especially this season.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you now playing with this new technology, you have to be aware that your hands, your whatever, your body, your position of your foot will have a situation to be looked at. So there is definitely moments where you have to actually make sure that you're on the good side. It happens as you said. Sometimes it's good for you, sometimes it's not. So on those situations, you always think that whatever you are using your hands, you are trying to avoid too much contact or for too long, and that's what happened. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, what's the briefing been on what those decisions are going to be?
I mean, it's hard, sometimes when you feel the contact early, you go down and the ref can give you a foul. I mean, sometimes when you're in the game and the ball's there to be won, you're trying to get to the ball as quick as possible, and sometimes you've got to get the man out the way. And I think there's a fine line between, giving a foul away and getting away with it. And yeah, maybe there a bit more contact. On another day, maybe ref doesn't look at it, or I don't know. It's just one of them ones. We just as players have to try to be clever. And I tried to communicate with the ref because I knew the block was coming. So I told him, every corner, watch the blocks, and yeah, I mean.
That's what happened when you're maybe wrestling for a player who is weaker than you. Obviously,
yeah.
That's what happened. If it was a stronger centre forward, you can challenge. I
think it's someone similar to my size. I think, as I said before, it probably doesn't look as bad. Slow-mo, it's always going to look worse.
Yeah.
Always going to look worse. So, it's something to learn for me and all the boys, and yeah, just be a bit more streetwise and smarter with it.
So a bit of relief then when the penalty was missed by Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I think, I say it's justice. God had my back. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a pen and then he's missed it. So, it's sort of a let off. You see me put my fist up in the air it's a bit of relief, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Gary Neville pointed out in commentary that the ref kind of knocks Bruno Fernandes in the build up to the penalty, not obviously in his run up, but in the sort of time just before. Is that really something that can put a player off?
I think that, you know, at the time, obviously, penalty takers have got a routine that they like to go through. And when you're practicing it in training, you're not going to have a referee that's in the way that steps into it or bumps you out of the way. And, you know, I think Lou will know, as you know, he's taken many penalties, that once you've got your routine and you go through that routine, you know, you don't need anyone putting you off. You know, you could say the referee's not really done a lot, he's only just touched him, but when you've got a routine and you go through it and it's the way you take the penalties, then maybe it can put you off. And, you know, I think, to be honest, as soon as he's been touched by the referee, he's got anger inside him, and then I see the penalty going over like it did, you know, you can tell that it's a problem.
This is the type of reaction we have seen over the years. We complain about this overreaction, he's throwing his hands and all that. So those reactions where everyone is going to judge every movement, I think he put himself in a position. And when you miss, you obviously come back, do punditry and say, oh, this is obviously something that has had an effect on him. So that's something that he needs to work on.